We
All
did
right.
it. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Johnny. Let's
Yeah.
rock and
Yeah.
roll.
I appreciate you doing it because, like you said, you don't really you're not on social media, you don't get involved. What is it about social media and media in general that you want to stay away from? Are you more focused on the act of creating, like doing acting roles or creating shows versus creating online media? Like, what's your thought process on that?
Well, I think with social media, it could kind of blind you in the fact that, when you create stuff, you need to be aware of your space, how you're thinking, etc. And when you go to social media, it's like they're doing the thinking for you and showing for you. So you kind of become, blank slate. And, sometimes social media in their, you know, conflict that they have with each other, you get one perspective and another perspective, and people are fighting each other, not fighting each other. I just find it's a distraction. And right now, I don't need it.
Yeah, well, that's fair. If you don't feel like you need it and you never jumped onto it, like I always make the joke that my grandfather never knew what the internet was. Like he never even knew about its existence, in total. So that to me is like really fascinating. I'm like, and he lived his life totally fine, like had a great life all the way through. So again, I just appreciate you coming on the show. When I asked you about the one word for the episode, did something come to mind for you when I said that?
Well, there's words that I like that have no meaning, like
Okay.
lobster. Lobster is my favorite word as a kid. I don't know, I just like toying with the idea of lobster. And orange is my favorite color, and
Yeah, me too.
it comes out orange. Yeah. And so for me, that's a word, but a word that I follow daily is just Anishinaabe, which is who I am. And I'm constantly trying to just, find knowledge of who we are and where we are today. So I'd say Anishinaabe is my word.
Okay. I agree. I love that. So what is it about Anishinaabe that like stays with you and wants you to I don't know, put your focus on that?
The well,
Tap that
I,
one more time. There we go.
oh, there we go. Yeah, somebody's trying to call me.
Oh man.
Um, so the idea that I find behind it is me as someone growing up in as an Anishinaabe, I'm constantly searching for who I am, where I'm from, and where I want to be. And I find with society who are non-Indigenous or non-Anishinaabe, they always ask me questions about who am I, where am I, and I always want to be prepared. But also, I'm in a place now where I'm kind of like, well, why don't you do your own research about Anishinaabe? Go online. That's where everybody is,
Yeah.
and it's mostly there. And for me, I just carve my own path of how I carry myself as Anishinaabe.
Do you find that it that you have been able to or still continue to wish to incorporate a bit of that into your acting roles, be it, a hairstyle choice or maybe like something that just honors that part of you?
Yeah, I find myself when I go into a character, I kind of look into myself as what I can put into the emotional outlet of the character. And I find myself drawn to my trauma, obviously, for emotional acceptance. And then I look into like my teachings of being grounded and humble and being equal to all living things, all beings. And that tends to, kind of place me to be aware of my surroundings and listen to people and try to reflect my teachings onto the situation. And it gets stronger every year because I find more about myself, and I'm always wanting to um, imagine the circumstance of who I am to be in the future,
Hmm.
because I'll never know that, but each time I trickle into knowledge of not only myself but others, history, etc. And history repeats itself, so you kind of don't want to go down that negative path that will, hurt other people, and try to just stay focused and not distracted, because there's a lot of people out there who don't like native people, and
Sure.
I try to steer away from them.
Uh, I always start with the openness of like, how could you not like people? Like they're just like you. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? There's
yeah,
no the insanity of life that there is no other creature on this planet that we can truly engage with on a level of like understanding each other. Even
yeah,
if you don't speak the language, like I found it fascinating that when I went to China, and I was talking to people. It's like I don't speak Mandarin or Cantonese, and a lot of people didn't speak English, and we were just talking to each other with our hands and facial gestures, like we were just using mannerisms to fully communicate. And it was just like this real moment where I was like, oh yeah, I couldn't do that with any other creature on this planet. There's just this weird connection. So to hate another person immediately always baffles my mind.
yeah. And I always find that, when like right now I'm kind of writing a short film, and part of the concept is the relationship to a wolf.
Mhm.
And in history, when you hear them talk about wolves, it's like the werewolf, or they're gonna hunt and eat you in the dark. And if you ever see a wolf, a wild wolf that's kind of, you know, in a pet sanctuary, they're very protective, timid, and and almost scared of you. They don't attack you.
Hmm.
And to see one in the wild, when they see you, they don't growl or go after you. They're very cautious, and they step back, they watch you. And if you're not doing anything too crazy, they just go on their day.
Hmm.
So in our culture, the wolf is wisdom. They have been the educator for us in how to communicate and be a part of the system of beings and human beings, and how
Hmm.
to create your environment, because there's a social structure that they have, and they've proven this. Put a wolf in like Yellowstone, and you'll see Yellowstone become a more beautiful place because it puts the prey animals, or the alpha animals in their place to not, ruin the environment. Like the wolves protect the weak ones, and it's really cool. And this is kind of like a metaphor I try to use in the short film to tell people you have it wrong. And I wish they would be knowledgeable and understand that the wolf is a kind being just like us. And if we learn to live with them and kind of, be a friend, they'll teach us a lot. And that's how we get our teachings as
Yeah. And there's historical evidence to support that. I mean, we don't have dogs out of nowhere. Like all these different breeds of dogs were eventually at one point like a breed of wolf that we just slowly turned into this like health problem. You
Yeah.
look at like a pug and you're like, it's cute, I guess, but can it breathe? Is it okay? Like that seems that seems insane that we did that. We kind of forced that evolution on the wolves.
Yeah.
I think the same thing too. I'm gonna get some hate on this, but I think the same thing about sharks, honestly. I think sharks get a bad name from movies like Jaws, or these like, Shark Week documentaries. They're really just curious, like fish,
Yeah.
because the reason why they attack people is because we overfish their feeding areas, forcing them closer to the shores. They don't really have a choice. They need to eat. So you
Yeah.
force them closer to the shores, and then they end up running into surfers who look like seals. Like it's a classic case of mistaken identity.
Yeah. And
I
they're
don't
like,
think.
oh, aggressive shark.
Oh
We gotta
no.
kill it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah. They're like,
If you
these
look at
sharks are a problem.
Yeah, but the sharks, if you look at them and they've been, put that GPS on them,
Yeah.
they've lived for millions of years and they have carved their path of where they birth, where they feed,
Yeah.
where they, and it's every year at the same time. They've been doing it millions of years. So if they're gonna go breed in an area where they're surfing, don't surf there.
Yeah, yeah.
Give them like a
You're
few
in
months
their
to do their
backyard.
thing. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
uh, I can't. It's
That's crazy.
sometimes it's confusing, but it is life.
Yeah. I'm really curious about, so were you born in Winnipeg, you said?
I was born in a town called Ashern, and it's
Okay.
about an hour from my reservation, which is called Dog Creek, Lake Manitoba.
Okay.
And then I moved to Winnipeg when my parents died when I was 8, and I was living with my family there, my aunts and uncles. Primarily a lot of time with my grandparents. Yeah.
Damn. So that that whole adds a whole other layer to then your career in acting, because for somebody to want to be an actor, it's for anybody, it's a tough road. But to be all the way, you're not in Hollywood North per se when you're in an area like that where I kind of know how much stuff is filming there. So it's like, you go through this trauma in your early life and you're finding your place now, and as you're becoming a teenager, at what point do you
Mhm.
start thinking about I want to be an actor, or thinking about like your, this kind of maybe passion for performance, and how do you then parlay that to the awesome career that you've had?
Well, I found acting by accident because my friends and I in school, when we would choose a class like science, they'd split up everybody. So science in the morning, science in the afternoon. And acting for drama in high school was the only class where we can all participate together. They just had one class. And when we joined the class, it was very much just stupid stuff like beating each other up, being silly. But the idea of being someone else, because a lot of people didn't know my trauma growing up. So the idea of leaving yourself outside when you enter the drama class, that's what I enjoyed because I didn't have to carry any of that with me. I could pretend to be a pirate, an alien, a tree, a dog, whatever. And that's what got me started. I was attracted to the idea of I could be all these people and leave myself outside the door. It was a sanctuary. And over the years, I just got better at it. I started to understand that I was good at certain things. And I just continued. I wasn't the best actor. Like there was some great actors in our school, but when you look at everybody in the school before me and with me, I was the only one who pursued it
Hmm.
as a dream. And here I am.
I say that too about comedy. I said I'm not the funniest person in my friend circle. I'm just the only person that was like, I could do that on stage.
It takes
That's
confidence,
yeah, yeah,
dude.
that's
You gotta
literally the
go up
difference
there.
maker.
Yeah, and you bomb, so it's
Oh
kind of
yeah,
like
yeah.
nothing's perfect. You
But I
just
mean, you
gotta
must
try.
feel yourself too, like getting better and better with each role. Like your role in Suicide Squad, like it made me laugh so much. Like just the seriousness of the character and just being like, like smacking the guard and being like, she had a mouth. Like that's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
so. And you just delivered that. It's often to me the simpler lines are the hardest because you only have two, 3 words. And then you have to deliver that with like this is like a whole life behind it, you know?
yeah. You
Like do
just
you,
I found with the comic book films, I'm a huge comic book fan, so I was really honored that David Ayer wanted to cast me and phone me, and that was it. And then days later, I was with the whole cast, and I didn't care that I was gonna die because I understood the concept of making it um, like a dangerous thing. If you leave, you die.
yeah, yeah.
So I didn't mind that. But the experience of it, like that's what you walk away with. And working with that caliber of acting and being a part of it, being asked to be a part of it, kind of
Mhm.
puts me in a stature where, I've worked um, pretty hard at what I do, and I'm honored to be selected. And that character is a white character, a scientist in the comics. So for me to replace it and be a native guy, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's cool to me, man. So
yeah. Yeah, that must be cool.
yeah,
I love that.
and that's the elite standard of like
Yeah.
money, set builds, timing, everything.
Did
It's
you get
just
to like talk very much with Will Smith at all or any of the other
all of
actors
them.
there? Yeah.
Yeah, all of them are there and they're there to perform. Everybody has their unique style
Hmm.
of acting. There's, Jared Leto who's in character the whole time, which is exhausting, but he's able to transform his world into reality in that process. And then Will does his thing. He's constantly in thought process of what he's gonna do. Margot Robbie is an absolute gem and talented as a human being, just so kind. She's been my favorite to work with in regards to treating people, anybody, as a friend, which is rare in Hollywood. And yeah, Joel Kinnaman was just you know he was a leader, I would say, because he had to put all of us in the position of I own you.
Hmm.
And to do that with the people we're working with, oh
Yeah,
my
yeah,
God, it's
yeah.
like he passed that test
That's great.
easily. So, you see all these people just dialing in and
Yeah.
putting their resources into the story. And yeah, I feel I'm lucky at times and
But
just
also like it's earned too, you know?
pretty much, yeah. A lot of people know that it's hard for me to go to work because I dismiss a lot of projects because it just doesn't fit the way I see things in the world. So if there's something that is misleading, I kind of just say, no, it's not my thing.
Hmm.
As opposed to telling the people, I don't like your style of writing or what you're doing is wrong. That's not what we do as Native people. Or, it doesn't have to be a Native theme. And you just have to kind of say, this is how I see it fit. And it's not in there, so I have to pass.
Yeah. Well, I think that's
And
important to be transparent with people too and not be like it's okay to say no. Like often I think as like artists we want to hear those yeses so much that we say yes to everything early on because you just want the experience. But then
yeah,
the more you get in there, the more you're like, I actually really don't like the message that this is pushing at all. Or I don't believe
Yeah.
in this character, or I can't even imagine myself as that character. Has there ever been a role that you've like turned down where later on you went like, ah, maybe I should have done that?
Yeah,
It
I
like
should
won
have.
them an Oscar or something. And you're like, ah, damn.
No, I should have done the TV show ER.
Oh yeah?
I was younger because they had a meeting with me and I was going to be a regular character and I was pretty hyped up. So I flew down to LA, sat with all the execs and they're like, Adam, thank you. This is what we are proposing and this is the storyline. You're going to be a paramedic and you're going to have this relationship. And man, they lost me at paramedic because I thought I was going to be a doctor. Then
No, so you turned it down.
after it was done, I said, sorry guys, but I don't want to be
Uh,
a paramedic and,
yeah.
have a great day. And I look at that, but, and I see a missed opportunity, of course, but, I'm very grounded in my choices
Hmm.
and I want to be happy in my choices. I don't want to do something that is not, that I don't care about. So, it's best that I walk away. But I look at it and I'm like, that's a lot of money I turned down. But
Yeah, you're like sometimes you're like, my damn morals.
yeah, and then
Uh,
after I did the movie Flags of Our Fathers, I
mhm.
didn't want to do any more war films after that because I did Wind Talkers and Flags, and I didn't see any war films that were kind of above it. But then,
Yeah, Flags of Our Fathers was great. Like,
yeah,
what did it feel like to like play? Because you're playing like a real life figure, right? It was
yeah,
Ira Hayes. So
yeah.
what did it feel like? Like, how did you prepare to play the role? Because it is based on the true stories.
Well, I knew some friends from Gila River where that was kind of where he is from, like Salt River, I believe, and so I got to kind of get information of how he was considered or who he was, and
Cool.
just from what you find in history. And then I had a unique opportunity to portray the levels of intoxicity, no, intoxic that his drinking.
Oh
And
yeah, okay.
at the time, the veterans, they all had PTSD, and there was no medication for what they were carrying, and drinking was one of them, or,
Mhm.
other, like, I guess, heroin, I don't know. But for me, I found that I saw alcohol as a medicine for him to suppress a lot of what he was going through. So I wanted to do certain layers of his PTSD. And there was a scene where we were in Chicago, I believe, and I was supposed to show up, drunk at the celebration. And when I showed up, I kind of had to certain time stay in character, because
Yeah.
I didn't want to lose what I was looking for. And I went very extreme. And the actors were kind of like, what is Adam doing? That's so silly. It's so slapstick.
Yeah.
But it was my time to say, this is where he loses it. This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
where he
This is his
doesn't
moment.
want to be. Yeah. And when you see it, it works. But at the time, it looked kind of cartoonish,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm glad that I was able to kind of find those ways because the word alcohol, when it comes to Native people, those are fighting words. And yes, there are the alcoholics in the world, like this is the world. It's not just a native thing, but people like to point out, oh, you Indians know how to drink, or you Indians like to fight when you're. And I wanted to pursue the PTSD and how people need something to take care of that. We have medicine now that
Yeah.
helps, and
But putting it into
and
the context of that time, people didn't truly understand like what that was.
yeah,
Like,
and then when you go down to history, like I do with
yeah.
knowledge, is you find like when I did the movie Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, that's when I one of the best films that I did because that's one of my favorite books growing up as a kid. And when I did it, I got to play the doctor and see how medicine was manipulated into indigenous tribes in related to the brown bottle. I want
Mm.
the brown bottle. And in there was liquor and uh, some other medicine and stuff. But they knew, and this is a fact, give them the liquor so we can take what we need from them. And that's a fact.
Yeah, because you're
So,
disoriented, you don't remember stuff very well. Like booze is the
yeah, it's
perfect kind
here, I'll
of,
give you
but
this,
you're like
you
having
give
a
me
good
your horse.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
crazy.
there's a lot of education that a lot of people need, but a lot of people don't do it and they live in their own bubble and they have their own interpretation of who we are. And, it is what it is. I just know my place.
It is also why I feel like there is this positive side to media that is coming through now, through the early days of it being, cat memes, whatever,
Yeah.
chat rooms. There is a more positive side of media in terms of like clarity and representation, like long form conversations like podcasts. I think
Yeah.
have really shed a good light onto not just like who people are, but like just defeating any preconceived notions of like who people are as a general whole. Getting to hear someone talk for 3 hours sometimes on a podcast or even an hour like this one is, I
Mm.
think really provides like some clarity to people. And I also think people that are a fan of your work, they now get to see you in a different light and get something about like the creative process of like how the sausage is made where they wouldn't get to see that because we don't have like DVD commentaries anymore. We just have the product. Like you just have the finished product up on social media and then you never get to hear about like what the creative process was or why a certain choice was made here or
Mhm.
your backstory in general. I feel like all this kind of stuff adds more context to your work and creates more meaning for fans.
Yeah, I wish people would understand the concept of what trauma is.
Hmm.
Because a lot of people see it as a word that crushes your spirit, right? And if you look at if you go to someone's house and they carry trauma, there's always laughter, there's always love, there's always kindness. And then when the trauma bonds in the household, then it gets a little crazy. And I wish when it came to Native stories that they would, put more effort into how a family is able to relate in a healthy way with trauma. Like I grew up with a hell of a lot of trauma, and I still had a healthy side within my family who carried trauma themselves.
Hmm.
We were able to slowly grow up in our trauma and cash and kind of reach these points in our lives when we grow up and get wiser and older,
Hmm.
learn from each other. How do we, you know, move this Rubik's Cube so we don't self-harm and hurt ourselves,
Right, right.
And there's always been the practices of I'm going to drink these spirits to not have to look at my own, and I could just abandon myself, like me in acting. you know?
Hmm.
That was like alcohol for me. Go into
Right, right.
acting, forget about yourself.
Something to
And
forget about the current instead of addressing it head on.
yeah,
But
and
I also think like too, it as maybe messed up as it is, trauma, at least early on, trauma or misfortune of any kind is only going to benefit the passion that an artist puts into their work. Whether you're an actor or a painter or a singer or a comedian like myself, the finding a way to process that trauma in your own way, even if it means detaching from it so that you can fully immerse yourself in the character of someone else, that's what it means to be a good actor. To fully
Mhm.
immerse yourself in a character is to be a good actor. And I think that you wouldn't be able to do that as well if you didn't experience some sort of trauma early on that allowed you to become a great actor, that allowed you to become a great musician. But at a certain point, you have to realize that like you need to also face what that trauma is and find a way to either heal that or
Mhm.
move on from it in whatever way you can and not use the art as a detachment, but more as like the continuation of your joy.
Yeah, and you can't get caught up too much into what acting allows you to, because with method acting, it's like if you're gonna play an alcoholic, you're not gonna go drink your life away,
No, yeah, that'd be
But
crazy.
some
Yeah.
people, but some people would use it and say, okay, I'm gonna get sloppy to see if I could find something.
Yeah.
These imaginative circumstances, they call it. It's very touchy because you're going into a place of trauma, but you're going into a place of other characters, and you just gotta kind of well balance yourself. I did method acting for a short film in LA in my 20s. The director asked me to method act. I said, I'll give it a shot. And I stayed in character for, the week we were shooting this short film. I didn't like it.
Hmm.
One, because I had to play an asshole who was a drug dealer and just didn't care about people. So when I walked out to go shoot, I hated everybody, treated them like shit,
Yeah,
called them
yeah.
all assholes. And nobody liked me on the set. Even
Yeah, of
when I was done
course.
the show, I had no friends, you know? And it's not, for me, that's not worth it. But
Yeah.
some people like to use it to develop their character and they're successful at it. It's just a choice of what you do. And, with acting, it's all about imaginary circumstance. You can create that and allow it to flow. But you also have to know who you are too to be able to become realistic in certain parts of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, everybody has their own flow. I have a friend who went to Juilliard and he was just kind of looking at my work when I was working with him. And he's like, how do you do that? And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, you just get into this place of like a depth. And I told him, I said, a lot of what I work with is, my parents died when I was 8 years old. And a lot of this chaos comes from that. So I can easily pluck out certain feelings I've carried since I was a kid. And he's like, oh, wow, don't ever lose that. And I said, where do you get yours? And he says, well, I've had to learn it in school in Juilliard. You fill your cup, you empty your cup. You empty your cup, you fill your cup.
Hmm.
And I'm just trying to understand you, but now I do. And he said that he has to go imaginative circumstance what I have as a real life experience, you
Yeah.
know? So there's these two different ways of getting your source, and some people need school for 4 years, and some
Hmm.
people just have the experience within them, and you just kind of evolve it from there.
Yeah. What advice would you give to like indigenous youth that want to get into, acting or anything with the arts?
Well, first, it's like, find your connection to it. It's not, I don't think it's a monetary thing. because that's not how I see it. I would say, first find your three favorite movies. And when you find those three favorite movies, you get the idea, I love cinematography. And then you go into why do you like those three films? And they have to connect with you somehow. You can't say, oh, that character was just, you know what I mean? It's like we're
Yeah.
connected to it somehow. And once you find your connection to it, then now you're understanding the relationship that you will have with acting or the people you work with or the movie or the script. Because someone will say, why did you like the script? And that's where you have to have an answer. I like the character because it reminds me of so and so. And I watched this movie and this movie related to, you have to have all those answers. You can't
Hmm.
just say, I don't know, it's just cool, because that's
Yeah.
not how it works.
Yeah.
And that's what I would say is find why the acting will be for you. Or are you just trying to ignite the spark to find why you're gravitating to this? Because you could be a director, writer, producer,
Totally.
all of those things. And I would say find that first, that spark. And if you find it, then the other steps will follow and be there. And I have my film school. I would say, reach out to me. I'll have a web page soon that people can have access to my next flow and what I'm doing with the
Yeah.
school, etc.
Yeah, talk about the school. So like this idea of yours of like I don't know how much you want to share, that you don't have to
No,
share all of it
I
if you
can
want to keep
share.
it secret, but yeah,
Yeah.
you were gonna start like a film school and
Mhm.
make it practical, like an actual like they're gonna
Yeah.
make stuff. It's not gonna be
So
theoretical.
I had a film school for about 12 years. I shut it down during COVID and been trying to finesse my next move. I found that when you start something like a film school, you're not the first. There are others across Canada. And if you get funding for your school, you're part of a piece of pie. So the more schools, the less of the pie. And that's the first rule you find out. Now, for me, doing an Indigenous school, I found a niche that there wasn't a lot of Indigenous schools. So I was able to create an Indigenous pie that was flourishing for myself and flourishing for others. And then other people got noticed and said, who were non Indigenous, and said, okay, we want to take Adam's structure and put it in ours. So
Classic.
there went my pie.
Yeah.
So I had to find out what can I do to make this a better experience next year because everybody's taking it, and I didn't mind because now the indigenous quest for filmmaking is now in every department of these big schools.
Hmm.
And so I guess I helped bring attention to it. And then I finally was able to attach a grant to the next year, which was my graduates, uh, if they go to work at say, CBC doesn't have to pay them. This grant pays them just to be there.
Hmm.
So I was like, I did it. I found the success. And what I found was when my students graduated, not one single door opened for my students. And
Wow.
I was I was totally angry. I was pissed off because there were native doors that should have opened and they didn't. They could have been a security guard. They could have been a janitor, something
Yeah.
to get them involved. And all the students that were, in that year were just like, this is kind of weird. So they all went home. And that's where I kind of was like, I'm not getting help from anybody. So what can I do? And obviously the grant system, I don't know where it went or if it attached to other companies after that, but the school division in Winnipeg, Manitoba, uh, asked me to come meet with them because they were trying to do something special to the school called R.B. Russell. And I grew up in that neighborhood it's in called the North End, and it's kind of the school dwindled a little bit. It was known for its arts programs, and it was my favorite school growing up, but I couldn't go there because I was going to another school.
Mm.
And so I met with them, and I said, well, I could put my film school in the school, and we can teach and train, but also let's profile it on YouTube, create like a documentary so everybody could look at how we're doing this. And then at when they get all the pieces of the puzzle, we're going to create a TV show. And I had a TV show idea, a children's show, and I said, let's build the sets and the show and film it in the school because they have the space. So basically, what I'm trying to do is create the school to be a studio.
Yeah.
That studio will go out to go get funding to create a production. And then within the production, they can teach and train, which what they're doing. So it's basically building an independent studio system that every school, every community can look and see if they have the resources. And if not, if this works out, maybe we can commit more resources through telefilm or um, the Canadian Media Fund to offer more and pass the torch to other schools and other communities and et cetera, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like giving my heart and soul to a school and let them flourish.
Yeah.
And I'll still, do my own stuff, but I don't have to focus so much on that, because it's gonna create its own wheel. And I'm happy. I'm sure it'll be a success, but I'm really happy that it's blossomed into something that will, ignite the young minds to share the world we live
Yeah. I love
in.
that. And it's like a perfect way of combining the two things that you care about and then allowing it to sort of go off and flourish on its own.
And then when the show is done, they could watch the show on YouTube and see what hard work does and what quality is, and then
Which
the
is
next.
where we're gonna work together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That
That'd
inspires.
be another Zoom call
Oh
where,
yeah,
where
man,
we
definitely.
specifically talk about that. Yeah, for sure. Adam, there's one question I always end the podcast with, and
Yeah.
it's essentially what advice would you give to your younger self? But I want to add context. I want you to think of yourself at 15 years old, where
Okay.
you were at that time, and the phone rings and it's you now on the other end, you can give your younger self a piece of advice based on what you know now. It's not going to impact your life whatsoever. Your life, the decisions have already been made. But what do you say to your 15-year-old self?
Well, I'd say it's okay to cry. It's as simple as that. Because growing up, when I lost my parents, being 8 years old, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, I looked like my father as as he was young, and people would just cry when they saw me.
Wow.
So growing up, I couldn't really emote because people were emoting for me. Oh, your father was amazing. Your mom was amazing. I can't. And then the worst is somebody would look at me and they'd walk away crying
Oh,
because I looked like my father. And so I couldn't really cry growing up. I was glad acting came because it let out this burst of energy. But sometimes
right.
I would
Yeah.
I would cry on my own and but it was mostly anger and stuff. So I would tell my younger self it's okay, to just cry with the people that are emoting with you. It's okay because I never understood that, and I'm learning that today, that it's okay to share emotion. If someone's crying, you can cry with them. You can emote, and
Hmm.
it's okay. So that's probably where I would go with that. Yeah.
I love that. Solid advice. I love hearing the range of advice that people have too for the younger selves. It's always an interesting question to
Well,
hear
there's
answered.
there's always this mix up with being a man,
Oh yeah, yeah, totally.
you
Yeah.
know? Come
Totally.
on, dude. It's
It's very stupid. It's very stupid to not want to release an emotion. Like my girlfriend says I'm a Libra, so that means that I'm an air sign or water or something. So when I have emotions, I express them 100% to the maximum.
yeah,
And it might be overdone. If I'm laughing, I'm laughing. If I'm crying, I am crying. I feel like 100%
yeah,
without really caring what people think.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
it's I think it's important to show emotions, and it's taken me this long to be able to know what those emotions are. And yeah,
so usually, Adam, this is the part where I get people to promote their social media, but I know you don't have any social media. So is there anything else that you want to say or you want to send people to?
I don't have anything. I got off social media, but there is this guy. He's on TikTok, and he makes me laugh and enjoy life and live for the day. And if you can look him up, his tag is cracks in the kingdom.
This top one or
Oh, you have to go to yeah, that's him. Slide down.
yeah,
You have to go to his pick one of those where the long hair and he looks like he's got the
verify with that puzzle. Long hair,
he's it's like he's where is he? Go to the night version. He's in the night.
like one of these.
No, 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 no. Go to the top. He's at the uh right there on the right. See him on the right and he down? No, right there. Check one of those.
This one? Okay.
Bring it down, my loves.
Yes.
Welcome here. I've been thinking about dreams. Have you ever had a dream? You wanted it so bad. Yes. Thank you, Mike. I needed that little boost for my soul. It's been a day. It's been a day. Card got declined at Biscuitville. It's a special feeling. They said, oh, your bank must have locked it. I'm like, oh, no, no. There's just no money there. But I said, do you mind, madam, if I read you a poem? It didn't work. I had to dig another credit card out of my wallet. The forbidden one. The one whose limit's already right at the edge. You're like, "Ew, really shouldn't do this, but I like a good biscuit."
Dude, you have got to see him.
That's great. I'm gonna give him a
It's
follow.
his lives are just uh needed in the world we live in, man.
That's great. That's great. I'm gonna give him a follow for sure. I love that you shout out another creator. That's awesome of you. All right, man. Well, this is fun. We'll talk soon, but I'll let you know whether or not the whole podcast is there or literally just this bit at the end because it seemed like Zoom malfunctioned. So
Yeah, well, edit it and just
yeah,
do
I'll
your
try to
thing.
chop it all together.
Yeah,
All right,
awesome,
man.
dude.
Peace.
All
Have
right.
a good rest of your day.
Yeah, later, dude.
Later.